Hi everybody, she's back, and welcome back to another local report. This one is Standard Night for Tuesday, a Geek Retreat, during this week at time of, well, last week I guess, at the time of uploading this. This time we played Arceus Regidrago with the kitty. Honestly, probably one of my favourite Regidrago builds so far. I've been trying some funky stuff with Regidrago, which hasn't really been working, so I went back to the drawing board, as one would say, and we paired it back with Arceus, and it seems to be doing well, so let's talk about it, shall we? Let's continue on a theme we have with local nights. Round one was a loss to Dialga, or loss to Dialga. High roll, love it. Game 1, perfect play. Arceus powered up by turn 2. Game went to plan, took out an early Magnemite, down to 2 prize cards, and Dialga popped up with 5 energy attached from Magnezone. Effing love that. Yeah, basically I had everything I needed in hand, ready to take wins and stuff like that. I was having a great time. The Magnezone, if you don't know, top 6 cards of your deck, any metal energy you find there, you can attach your Pokemon any way you like. They hit 5 goddamn energy. So they were able to immediately move it up, take a, if I remember right, they took a Star Chronos knockout on a damaged Pokemon, then took a Metal Sound, I think it is, Metal Sound knockout on a Regidrago. And by that point, I was just stuck. Like, I couldn't knock out the Regidrago in one go. I think I had Giratina out of prized or just not discarded. So that was just game. Like, much like the game that I played with Kyurem, I played everything perfectly. 2 prize cards left to go. High rolled to death. It is genuinely a curse at this stage. Game 2, absolutely bricked the start, couldn't capitalize on opponent having all 3 Magnemite prized. Incredibly mad about that. Turn 3, opponent had 5 energy attached to their Dialga Vstar. They turned 2 metal coated, which they could have done in the first game, and I did ask them about that after the game. I was like, how come you didn't metal coat to get the energy back? Because I think they discarded it using Adamant and then immediately put it back in their hand using energy retrieval, and I was like, bit odd. I'd have gone for the metal coat myself. I finished off my Arceus V-Star, then knocked out a Regidrago V. I had no response and scooped. Yeah, they took an early, like, not too much damage. Yeah, put a little bit of damage on the Arceus V. I up the V-Star, couldn't really get into the game. And yeah, they knocked out the Arceus V-Star and Regidrago. I had nothing, and I had a bit of a sulk. I had time to have a sulk because round 2 was a bye, so that was a win. That's how that works. Round 3 was a God of War EX win-win. Game 1, perfect Arceus start, set up for Tina KO, but they played Oricorio, took early knockout, and Mew V fell into place from there. Yeah, no offense to my opponent, obviously, I tried to be as polite as possible in these, but they left a energy mixed powered up Mew V in their active both games, which is 180 health. Arceus doesn't even need Choice Belt to knock that out, so it's an early 2 prizes. It takes out their setup really early. But yeah, game 1 was really interesting. I finally got into the position where I could have taken like a Giratina plus Choice Belt. I have Choice Belt Cleansing Gloves knockout on the VMAX, so I would have been like 5 cards up. They had Oricorio down, and I was like, ah, crap, that completely ruins my plan. So instead, I bossed up one of their Genesects, took that out instead, knowing I had another another bosses in hand. They took out the, if I remember right, they bossed up the Arceus, knocked out the Arceus, and then I just bossed up another one of their Genesects and knocked that out. So yeah, it worked out quite well, really. Game 2, perfect start again, played Path early, then got bumped by Old Cemetery. Judge hand into another Path and Ultra Ball, got the Arceus start I needed but no Tina. Set up as normal, took KO on the Mew, Gudra KO on the Genesect, then found Giratina off the prizes, Giratina KO on the Mew VMAX. One thing I haven't mentioned once here is the perfect start for this deck now is Arceus Double Turbo, obviously, or Arceus Single NG, a way to, you know, find a V-Star. Because if you start with DTE, you can still at least get a Trinity charge off next turn. If I can get into a position where I've got Arceus V, Regidrago V, and a Purloin down, we're good, we're eating good. Lipard is fantastic because it's got trade. You can just throw one of your dragons that you don't need in there, get 2 more, and then you've got your Regidrago powered up that way. It's a bit awkward as far as the Gudra plays are concerned because it does leave a an escape rope boss target, but it's worked alright so far. I don't know if that's the future of this deck. Maybe you kind of focus on a Burnett build. Because we've got Noivern EX coming, I know we're getting a bit off course here, but because we've got Noivern EX coming, you are going to run at least 4 dragons, I think, in your deck. I think you are running Duraludon, Giratina, Gudra, and Noivern. The smart play is Arceus, hopefully, you know, if you, this is ideal world situation. You either have Burnet or find Burnet off Arceus, you discard the 2 dragons you think you're going to need, which is usually going to be Gudra plus something, then go from there and not put anything else on the bench. Like, I think if it's me, I'm going Arceus, Drago. I'm not putting another Arceus down, I'm not going Arceus, Drago. I'm trying, with Sharon's Care in the deck, I suppose you could get away with another Arceus, but yeah, there's definitely, like, plays to think about. And at time of recording, the first game I watched, I've not really checked their progress, is it Torino special event in Italy's on? The first game was a Regidrago build, Regidrago Arceus, and I was like, oh, I'm not the only one, I'm a fan of Italy, let's go. So yeah, I was quite excited to see that. But I think there's a future there for Regidrago. It's not as quick as like any other Arceus build. You do have to like allow the fact that you aren't attacking with Regidrago until turn 3 at the earliest. But I think once you've got it rolling, it's like the perfect toolbox Pokemon, especially if we get more dragons going in future as well. Final game was a round 4 Magnezone EX win, loss, win. Now, I've got a lovely friend, James, shout out to James, who plays way too much Magnezone EX. So I know this deck like the back of my hand. I know what's important to take out, I know what they need. This really, really helped me. This was a really good game too. So, game 1, good Arceus start. I call it the good Arceus start, you know, the DTE, blah, blah, blah. Didn't let the Magnezones get established. Took KOs on Raikou, Miraidon, and 2 small basics. Yeah, it's a bit more of an interesting build with this as well. The guy I played, he doesn't just go net deck go. He goes net deck plus what weird shit can I throw in there to really confuse the opponent. He played Dialga, Zamazenta deck at one point, and it was like ridiculous. Like, it was like not in a good way. Like, I was like, I don't really know what the game plan is to get around this, but yeah, it was fun. Game 2, Brick Start got set up slowly, but by the time I was game was done. But by the time I was, game was done. Also misplayed judging a fire energy out of my hand, which I needed for manual attach. Yeah, just to highlight this one. If you don't know Magnezone EX, much like the Starmie mentioned in another video, has an attack that says do 50 damage per energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon for 1 energy. It's a little bit brutal. I'm surprised we don't see more of it, honestly. But you know how Arceus works. It's like you've got to get 3 energy on the Arceus to use Trinity Nova, and then you want to power up Pokemon. You've got 3 energy you can attach. That's 300 damage for Magnezone. So what I tried to do was obviously have the 3 on the Arceus, then only put 2 on the Regidrago, knowing I had the fire energy in hand. The plan was to either retreat the Arceus, Sharon's Care the Arceus, whatever. Try to resist, you know, giving any prices up. They had Choice Belt, took the knockout. That's fine, that's fine. Regidrago was ready to move up anyway, start doing damage. I had a fire energy in my hand, and without even thinking, I judged my hand, because I saw how big their hand had got. Didn't pull another fire energy, went to attack, went, shit. Realised the misplay straight away. So, again, it's another stop getting so excited, think about your moves kind of thing. But, you know, if we learn from the misplays, it's not the worst thing in the world. Game 3, ridiculous. Both bricked, but played out. Game came down to a lack of share off their opponent. Nearly misplayed myself out of the game, but had enough in hand to set up a second Arceus for KO on the Magnezone. Let me get comfy for this one. I need to try and remember the exact scenario. I had 2 prize cards left to get, and they had 4. Now, I was panicking to begin with, because I only had Arceus left on the field. And my brain was going, well, they've won then, haven't they? And I'm like, no, they have 4 prize cards. They need to knock out 2 Pokemon. You can make them need to knock out 2 Pokemon. And I was aware I didn't have much, if any, basic energy left in my deck. So, we went for a Raihan attach onto Arceus, which wasn't the most effective way of doing things. It was kind of a waste of energy, but it let us search for anything. We didn't have any, like, ball search in our hand. So, I had DTE, I had Vstar. I looked at the Vstar. Before this, by the way, I took about 30 seconds staring at my bench going, what the hell do I move up? I think I had Lipard and Arceus. Lipard is irrelevant for this. So I ended up attaching the Raihan energy to the Lipard, just there for a retreat option more than anything else. Went through my deck and I was like, oh shit, I've got an Arceus and I've got a single energy left in this. That's really interesting. Pulled out the Arceus, played it down. Didn't attach the double turbo energy. I didn't want to give anything away. I didn't want to give anything away at this point. I swing into the Magnezone for 180 damage. Now, bear in mind at this point, I need to see the Vstar for the attack, because 130, with Trinity Nova as well being attached, 110 isn't enough for the knockout here. So I do 180 damage. I'm like, okay, all this comes down to is the opponent not having a Cheryl, not having a Judge, not having a way to upset what I've got laid out. This is the only way I win from here. Top deck, no Cheryl. I think they didn't even research. I think they ultra balled just to make sure Cheryl's still in there. They're like, yep, still in there. And he said, he looked at me and went, well, it is what it is, isn't it? I was like, yeah, with a slight grin on my face, knowing what was coming. Knocked out the Arceus, took the 2 prize cards. I moved up my Arceus V, nearly forgot to draw my card. I went DTE, Vstar, knockout, and he went GG, like, you know, fist bump. It was really close. It was really tight. But it literally came down to them not finding Cheryl. And I've had games like that where I'm like, I need to find this one card for the win. And you don't find it. It is what it is. You know, you've played the odds. You've done everything you can. And sometimes the cards just don't fall your way. And I wish, as I'm saying that now, I could replay that message in my head when I'm at my worst and stop sulking so much about all the bad plays I have. But yeah, no, it went well. It went well. So I'm still enjoying that deck. I think with Paldea Evolved, it does become interesting in a way to see how we make it work better, if that makes sense. Like, Jet Energy has a place in a couple of decks, but not really in this one, because Jet Energy is a wasted card on Regidrago. It is Grass, Fire, Fire. Or Grass, Grass, Fire? Fire, Fire, Grass. You know, Jet Energy is a colourless. It plays no part in that, so the only thing it does is a free switch, which we run switch anyway, who cares? Noivern being an addition's really good. I think it's, if I remember right, it's 80 damage, and then no damage from basics, or 140, no special energy or stadiums from hand. It's a bit of a control card, but 80 with no damage on the basics, I think, is a good, like, anti-Lost Box deck. You know, you're always taking knockout of Comfey with that. So, you know, there's a lot to test there, and I'm excited for it. We're going to see a lot of Regidrago on my live gameplays, I think. So we'll see how it goes. But that was it for the locals on Tuesday of last week. Thank you very much for watching, as always. We've got one more of these to record. I swear to God, I have other clothes. I'm just doing a block of 5. It's been a while. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, all my social media links are in the description below. If you've enjoyed the content, please let me know. I can do more of it. But until the next one, thank you for watching. I shall see you in the next one. See ya.